The fluorescent lights of Elegance threads buzzed like a swarm of vengeful wasps, but it was the manager's voice that delivered the fatal sting. "Ma'am, this isn't some back alley bar for your kind of entertainment. Keep it decent, or I'll call security." Lucy's breath caught in her throat, her fingers, still warm from Sarah's tentative grasp, curling into fists at her sides as the words hung in the air like toxic fog. In that split second, the bustling Manhattan store, with its racks of designer dresses and polished marble floors, transformed into a coliseum, and she, the unwitting gladiator, stood exposed under the glare of strangers' stares. Lucy Morales had built her empire from whispers and dreams, not spotlights and scandals. At 32, she was the invisible architect behind Elegance Threads, a chain of 15 upscale boutiques dotting the East Coast from Boston's cobblestone streets to Miami's sun-drenched avenues. Her days blurred into a tapestry of board meetings in sleek glass towers, late-night sketches for seasonal collections, and quiet evenings nursing a glass of Cabernet while scrolling through customer reviews that praised the empowering fit of her designs. She owned the threads that clothed ambitious women, the fabrics that swaddled their vulnerabilities, yet here she was, just another face in the crowd, her tailored blazer and wide-legged trousers no shield against the venom of prejudice. It had started innocently enough that crisp October afternoon. Lucy rarely visited her stores unannounced. She preferred the anonymity of online orders or discreet deliveries to her Greenwich Village loft. But Sarah, Sarah, had texted her that morning with a simple plea. "Can we meet? I need to talk." Elegance Threads on 5th, 2 p.m. Sarah Ellis, 28, with her cascade of auburn hair and eyes like storm-tossed seas, had been a fixture in Lucy's life for months now. Not quite a girlfriend, not quite a friend, more like a gravitational pull, drawing Lucy into stolen coffees and lingering glances over shared playlists of indie folk anthems. Sarah worked the floor at the Fifth Avenue flagship, her name tag pinned to a crisp white blouse that hugged her curves just enough to make Lucy's pulse stutter during their chance encounters. Lucy had arrived early, heart hammering with a mix of hope and dread. Hope, because Sarah's messages had grown flirtatious lately, emojis of hearts hidden in jokes about fabric swatches, invitations to try on more than just dresses. Dread, because Lucy knew the risks. Coming out at 18 in her conservative Queens family had cost her a father's silence and a mother's tear-streaked prayers. Success had bought her freedom, but not invisibility. Still, she'd shown up, bouquet of wildflowers tucked under her arm like a talisman, only to find Sarah cornered by a rush of bridal shoppers. "Browse around," Sarah had whispered, her hand brushing Lucy's in that electric way that promised more. "I'll find you." And so Lucy had wandered, fingers trailing over the silk blouses she designed herself, lost in the what-ifs of a life where love wasn't a battlefield. When Sarah finally appeared, slipping through the crowd like a secret, her smile lit the aisle brighter than the chandeliers overhead. "You came," she'd breathed, and before Lucy could respond, their hands found each other, fingers lacing in a quiet rebellion against the store's hum. It was nothing overt, just a touch, a shared breath, but in the periphery, eyes turned. Whispers rippled. And then the manager, Mark Hargrove, 45 and built like a retired linebacker gone soft around the middle, had been with the chain for a decade, climbing from stock boy to store lead through sheer bulldog tenacity and a Rolodex of old-school connections. He prided himself on maintaining standards, which in his lexicon meant white-knuckling the status quo. Homosexuality? A phase for the young and foolish. Public displays? An affront to the family values that kept his divorce settlement at bay. Spotting the two women from his perch at the register, their hands entwined amid the lace and chiffon, ignited something primal in him, a flare of outdated righteousness. He stormed over, tie askew, face flushing the color of overripe tomatoes. The aisle parted like the Red Sea for Moses, or for a man on a mission. "Excuse me," he barked, voice booming over the murmur of browsers. Lucy felt Sarah tense beside her, But she held on, chin lifting in defiance. "What's the problem?" Lucy asked, her tone even, laced with the steel she'd forged in pitch rooms where venture capitalists had dismissed her as too emotional for business. Hargrove's lip curled, eyes darting to their joined hands like they were diseased. "The problem," he sneered, loud enough for the entire floor to hear, "is that this is a respectable establishment. We don't tolerate this sort of behavior here. Lesbians groping in the aisles? Save it for your clubs downtown. Take your little show elsewhere before I have you removed." The words landed like shrapnel. Gasps echoed from nearby racks, a mother shielding her teen daughter's eyes, an elderly couple clucking in disapproval, a cluster of college girls frozen mid-selfie. Sarah's hand slipped free, her face draining of color as she stammered, "Mr. Hargrove, please, it's not." But he cut her off with a glare that could curdle milk. "And you, Ellis? Fraternizing on my shift? Consider this a write-up. Now get back to work before I make a determination." Lucy's world tilted. The wildflowers she'd set on a nearby bench wilted in the artificial light, petals curling like accusations. She wanted to roar, to unleash the fury of a woman who'd bootstrapped her way from community college scholarships to Forbes lists. But something held her back, not fear, but calculation. These weren't just shoppers. They were her empire's lifeblood. A scene here could ripple, tarnish the brand she'd bled for. So she swallowed the bile, forced a nod that felt like surrender. "Understood," she murmured, voice barely above a whisper. Hargrove smirked, triumphant, turning on his heel as if he'd just slain a dragon. Sarah shot her an apologetic look, mouthing "I'm so sorry" before vanishing into the stockroom, shoulders hunched like a scolded child. Alone now, Lucy lingered by the mirrors, staring at her reflection, a stranger with hollow eyes. The shame wasn't his words. It was the echo of every sidelong glance she'd endured, every family dinner cut short by unspoken judgments. She gathered the flowers, paid for a scarf she didn't need at a register manned by a wide-eyed clerk, and stepped into the autumn chill of Fifth Avenue. The city pulsed around her, taxis honking, pedestrians in Burberry coats weaving like schools of fish, but Lucy felt unmoored, adrift in the current. She hailed a cab to her loft, the bouquet wilting on her lap like a broken promise. That night, as rain lashed the windows and jazz crooned from her vintage record player, she poured a scotch and scrolled through corporate emails. One caught her eye, a routine audit for the Fifth Avenue store. Hargrove's performance review, glowing with strong leadership notes. Her finger hovered over the reply button, temptation coiling like smoke. But revenge tasted bitter on her tongue. No, this called for something sharper, justice wrapped in revelation. By dawn, Lucy had drafted the call, a corporate summons for the manager, veiled as a leadership enhancement seminar. She'd attend incognito, let the pieces fall. Yet as she sipped her coffee, black as her resolve, her thoughts drifted not to Hargrove's downfall, but to Sarah's haunted eyes. In that moment of crisis, Sarah hadn't recoiled. She'd reached out. And in the ruins of humiliation, a spark had ignited, fragile, forbidden, but undeniably alive. Little did Hargrove know, the woman he'd shamed wasn't just any customer. She was the thread holding his world together. And as Lucy stepped back into the fray 2 days later, disguised in a simple trench coat and oversized sunglasses, she carried not flowers, but a quiet storm. The store awaited, oblivious to the tempest brewing in its founder's heart. The seminar was scheduled for Thursday, a nondescript conference room in the chain's Midtown headquarters smelling of fresh coffee and printer ink. Lucy arrived early, blending into the potted ferns like a shadow, her hair pulled into a severe bun, glasses perched on her nose, transformative enough to fool even her own reflection. She watched from the doorway as Hargrove swaggered in, slapping backs with regional directors, his laugh booming like thunder in a teacup. "Team player," one exec murmured approvingly. Lucy's nails dug into her palms. "Team player? More like a bully in a polo shirt." Sarah wasn't there. Lucy had checked the roster. A pang of disappointment twisted in her chest, sharper than expected. Their encounter had replayed in her mind like a looped reel. Sarah's touch, soft and seeking, the way her lips parted in silent protest against Hargrove's tirade. Was it pity? Or something deeper? Mirroring the ache Lucy felt when Sarah laughed at her dumb puns about seam allowances? She pushed the thought aside as the meeting kicked off, projections flickering on the screen, sales dips, inventory tweaks, the usual corporate liturgy. Hargrove's turn came midway, his presentation a paean to customer experience excellence. He regaled them with anecdotes of diffusing tense situations, his eyes gleaming with the memory of that afternoon's conquest. Had to draw the line on inappropriate conduct, he said, winking at the group. Keeps the store family-friendly, you know? Nods rippled around the table. Lucy's blood boiled, but she waited, biding her time like a chess master eyeing checkmate. When the Q&A rolled around, she slipped into the role of consultant, voice modulated to a neutral clip. Mr. Hargrove, define inappropriate conduct. Hypothetically, if a customer expressed affection in a manner that challenged your norms, say, two women holding hands, would that warrant public shaming? The room stilled. Hargrove blinked, then chuckled a low rumble. Hypothetically? Absolutely. We represent values here. Can't have that rainbow agenda creeping in, scaring off the core demographic. The words ignited the fuse. Lucy stood, shedding her disguise like a second skin, glasses folded into her pocket, hair tumbling free. Gasps circled the table as recognition dawned. Core demographic, she echoed, her voice now rich with the timbre of command. Tell that to the 15 stores I own, Mark. Or should I say, the empire you just insulted, in front of its queen. Chaos erupted. Chairs scraped. Execs stammered apologies. Hargrove's face cycled through crimson to ashen, his mouth opening and closing like a landed fish. Ms. Morales? I didn't, but Lucy cut him off, her gaze ablade. You did. And now you'll learn what real leadership looks like. Clean out your desk. You're done. Security arrived minutes later, escorting him out amid a wake of stunned silence. As the door clicked shut, Lucy exhaled, the weight lifting like fog burned off by sun. Justice served cold. But triumph felt hollow without witness. That evening, as she wandered the loft's exposed brick walls lined with mood boards and half-finished sketches, her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. It's Sarah. Heard about today. You okay? Coffee? My treat this time. Lucy's heart stuttered, a smile creeping unbidden. More than okay, she replied. Pick you up at 7? Their meeting spot was a hole-in-the-wall cafe in the village, tucked between a vintage bookstore and a mural-splashed alley. Sarah arrived breathless, cheeks flushed from the jog, her sundress swirling like a promise. I can't believe it was you, she said, sliding into the booth, eyes wide with awe. The owner? All this time I thought you were just another customer with great taste. Lucy laughed, a sound rusty from disuse. Guilty. But seeing you on the floor, helping those women find their confidence, it reminded me why I started this. Not for the boardrooms, but for moments like that. They ordered lattes, foam hearts swirling in the cups, and the conversation flowed like Merlot, stories of Sarah's small-town Ohio roots, where coming out meant losing church potlucks but gaining a fierce chosen family. Lucy's tales of stitching her first dress on a borrowed machine, dreaming of a world where women wore their truths without apology. As the night deepened, their knees brushed under the table, deliberate now, no hiding. That day, Sarah whispered, tracing the rim of her mug, when he said those things. I wanted to scream, but I froze. Afraid of losing the job, the stability. I'm sorry I didn't stand up louder. Lucy's hand covered hers, thumb stroking the knuckles in slow circles. You reached for me. That's louder than any shout. The air thickened, charged with unspoken invitations. Outside, rain pattered against the windows, blurring the neon signs into halos. When they stepped into the downpour, Sarah didn't pull away. Instead, she leaned in, lips brushing Lucy's in a kiss that tasted of cinnamon and courage. Soft at first, then deepening, hands framing faces slick with rain, the world narrowing to the heat between them. Back at the loft, barriers crumbled. Clothes pooled on the hardwood like discarded doubts, bodies entwining in a dance of rediscovery. Sarah's skin was silk under Lucy's palms, her gasps a symphony against the storm's roar. They moved with the urgency of the shamed and the liberated, whispers of "I see you" and "I've wanted this," weaving through the sheets. In the afterglow, tangled limbs and shared breaths, Lucy traced constellations on Sarah's back. "Stay," she murmured. Sarah nodded, burrowing closer. For the first time in years, Lucy slept without the armor of solitude. Dawn brought clarity and complications. News of Hargrove's firing leaked to the press, a blip in the business section. Elegance threads ousts manager over discrimination claims. Social media ignited, hashtags like #ShopWithPride trending as customers shared stories of their own encounters. Lucy's inbox flooded with support, but also vitriol, trolls decrying woke capitalism, old family contacts resurfacing with Bible verses. Sarah, scrolling beside her in bed, tensed. This could get ugly. "Are you ready?" Lucy pulled her close, inhaling the scent of jasmine shampoo. "With you? Always." They rose together, fortifying the loft into a war room. Press statements drafted, diversity training rolled out chain-wide, a new hire policy emphasizing inclusion. Sarah, with her retail savvy, became Lucy's unofficial advisor, her insights sharpening the reforms like a tailor's shears. Yet beneath the strategy sessions, their bond deepened. Weekends blurred into escapes, picnics in Central Park where they fed ducks and swapped dreams, gallery hops in Chelsea where abstract nudes mirrored their uninhibited nights. Sarah confessed her fears, the ex who'd outed her to coworkers, the lingering scar of rejection. Lucy shared her scars too, the board member who'd propositioned her, the investor who'd balked at funding a queer-coded line. In vulnerability, they found strength, their love a quiet revolution against the world's noise. But Hargrove wasn't done. A week later, as leaves turned fiery in Bryant Park, a subpoena arrived. Defamation suit. He'd lawyered up, claiming wrongful termination, spinning his shaming as free speech. The tabloids pounced, dredging Lucy's lavish lifestyle and Sarah's rapid rise into fodder. Protests brewed outside the flagship, picket signs waving family values first, turning elegance threads into a battleground. Lucy paced the boardroom, maps of store locations pinned to walls like war plans. "We fight," she declared to her team, voice steady. Sarah, now officially on payroll as community liaison, squeezed her hand under the table. That night, over takeout tie in the loft, doubt crept in. What if we lose? The chain, my reputation, everything I've built. Sarah cupped her face, eyes fierce. You built it on heart. That's unbreakable. Their kiss was fierce, a reclaiming amid the storm. As they made love by candlelight, shadows dancing on canvases of half-sketched gowns, Lucy felt the fear ebb. Sarah was her anchor, her flame, proof that love wasn't a luxury, but a weapon. The trial loomed like thunderheads, but so did hope. Invitations poured in for Pride events, partnerships with LGBTQ+ designers. In the quiet hours, Lucy sketched a new collection. Bold prints of intertwined hands, fabrics in rainbow gradients. For us, she told Sarah, draping a prototype shawl over her shoulders. Sarah twirled, laughing, the sound a bomb. Their story, once a whisper of shame, was becoming a chorus of change. End of file 2. Approximately 1,000 words. Courtrooms in downtown Manhattan hummed with the same indifferent buzz as subway cars, fluorescents flickering, air thick with stale coffee and anxiety. Lucy sat ramrod straight in the witness box, her navy suit a armor of pinstripes, as Hargrove's attorney, a slick weasel in a power tie, circled like a shark scenting blood. "Ms. Morales," he drawled, "you admit to entering the store incognito. Was this a setup? Entrapment to oust a loyal employee for your personal agenda?" The gallery murmured, a mix of reporters tapping furiously on laptops and supporters clutching rainbow pins. Sarah watched from the front row, her presence a lighthouse in the fog, fingers twisting the hem of her blouse, lips pressed in silent prayer. Lucy met the lawyer's gaze, unflinching. Personal agenda? If loving without shame is an agenda, then yes. But Mark Hargrove's actions weren't loyalty. They were bigotry. He violated company policy, harassed a customer, me, and endangered my staff's safety. Exhibits flashed on screens, grainy security footage of the incident, Hargrove's bellowing face superimposed over frozen frames of Lucy and Sarah's clasped hands. Witness statements followed, the clerk who'd overheard his slurs, customers who'd felt the chill of his judgment in past visits. Sarah took the stand next, her voice trembling at first, then gaining steel. "I saw the hurt in her eyes," she said, glancing at Lucy. "It wasn't just words. It was erasure. As someone who's hidden parts of myself to keep this job, I couldn't stay silent anymore." The defense hammered back, painting Hargrove as a traditional everyman defending community standards. His testimony was a masterclass in deflection, tears for his ruined career, anecdotes of coaching Little League, vows that he'd meant no harm. But cracks showed, depositions revealing prior complaints, emails laced with homophobic jokes forwarded to subordinates. The judge, a no-nonsense woman with salt and pepper hair, listened with narrowed eyes. Adjournment brought respite, but not peace. Outside, paparazzi swarmed, flashes popping like gunfire. Lucy and Sarah ducked into a waiting car, hands linking automatically in the leather-scented dimness. "You're incredible up there," Sarah whispered, head on Lucy's shoulder. "Like a force." Lucy kissed her temple, inhaling the familiar vanilla. "Couldn't without you. You're my why." The drive to the loft wound through rain-slicked streets, wipers slashing rhythmically. They ordered pizza, extra cheese, no anchovies, and curled on the couch, a rom-com flickering ignored on the TV. Laughter bubbled up unexpectedly, Sarah mimicking the lawyer's nasal whine until tears streamed down their faces. In those pockets of joy, the weight lifted, reminding Lucy that battles weren't won in verdicts alone, but in the resilience of shared glances. The next day brought a curveball, settlement overtures. Hargrove's team, sensing the tide, offered a quiet payout in exchange for his retraction. Lucy's lawyers advised caution. "He's desperate. We can bury him," but she saw opportunity. Over a strategy lunch at a Soho bistro, sunlight gilding the bruschetta, she outlined her play. "We take it, but with strings. Public apology, sensitivity training, and a donation to the Trevor Project. Turn poison into progress." Sarah's eyes sparkled. Genius. And poetic. Their feet tangled under the table, a secret Morse code of affection. As they walked arm in arm back to the office, bold now, unapologetic, whistles followed, but so did nods of solidarity from passers-by. Elegance Threads windows displayed new signage. "All are welcome. Love your way." Sales spiked, not despite the scandal, but because of it. Yet shadows lingered. Late one night, as Lucy pored over deposition transcripts, Sarah found her slumped at the drafting table, sketches crumpled like fallen soldiers. "Talk to me," Sarah urged, kneeling beside her, hands warm on Lucy's thighs. The dam broke, words tumbling about isolation, the fear that success came at love's expense. "What if this changes us? Makes me a target for you too." Sarah pulled her down to the rug, bodies aligning in a cradle of comfort. "It won't. We're stronger woven together." Their lovemaking was slow, reverent, explorations with fingertips and whispers, mapping scars into stories of survival. Afterward, wrapped in a throw blanket patterned with stars, Sarah murmured dreams of a future, co-designing a capsule collection, adopting a rescue pup named after Frida Kahlo. Lucy listened, heart swelling. For the first time, empire felt secondary to this, us. The verdict came swiftly. Dismissal with prejudice, Hargrove's claims shredded like cheap polyester. He slunk away, tail between legs, his apology video a stiff, scripted mea culpa, going viral for all the wrong reasons. Cheers erupted in the courtroom, hugs exchanged in a flurry of confetti-like tissues. Outside, supporters mobbed the steps, chanting, "Justice for love." Lucy and Sarah emerged hand in hand, cameras capturing the kiss that sealed their victory. Not defiant, but tender, a quiet fuck you to fear. In the weeks that followed, the chain transformed. Training sessions filled stores with awkward but earnest dialogues, Pride merch flew off shelves, proceeds funding scholarships for queer youth. Lucy promoted Sarah to regional creative director, their partnership a seamless blend of vision and heart. Board meetings now opened with allyship pledges, investors clamoring for shares in the inclusive powerhouse. But the real magic unfolded in stolen moments. Sunrise jogs along the Hudson, where mist clung to their skin like lover's breath, quiet dinners on the fire escape, city lights twinkling below as they planned a road trip down the coast. Sarah's laugh became Lucy's favorite sound, her touch the antidote to boardroom battles. One evening, as they slow danced to Ella Fitzgerald in the loft's empty expanse, Lucy whispered, "You saved me that day. Not from him, from myself." Sarah's eyes shimmered. We saved each other. And in that embrace, amid the hum of a city that never slept, they found home. Not in brick or boardrooms, but in the unyielding weave of two hearts, defying every seam meant to tear them apart. Winter crept into Manhattan like an uninvited guest, frosting the High Line's rails and turning breaths into visible prayers. Lucy and Sarah's rhythm had settled into something sacred, a duet of mornings tangled in flannel sheets, evenings sketching by the hearth Lucy had installed on a whim. The loft, once a sterile showcase of success, now brimmed with life. Sarah's succulents crowding the windowsills, framed photos of their park picnics leaning against unpacked boxes, a guitar propped in the corner from Sarah's impromptu serenades. Yet success bred scrutiny. Invitations flooded in, TED Talks on queer entrepreneurship, panels at Fashion Week decrying corporate closets. Lucy thrived in the spotlight, her speeches weaving personal anecdotes with data on inclusive branding's ROI. "Shame tried to silence me," she'd say, voice carrying to hushed auditoriums, but love amplified the truth. Applause thundered, but backstage, exhaustion gnawed. Sarah noticed first, the shadowed eyes, the skipped meals disguised as late calls. One February night, after a gala where Lucy keynoted on resilience, they collapsed onto the velvet chaise, heels kicked aside like shed inhibitions. Sarah massaged Lucy's feet, thumbs working knots with practiced care. "You're burning out," she said softly, no accusation, just fact. Lucy sighed, head lolling back. "It's the price. I can't stop now, momentum's everything." Sarah set the feet down, crawling up to straddle her lap, hands framing Lucy's face. "Momentum without you isn't victory." Their kiss started as comfort, evolved into hunger, lips parting, tongues tracing familiar paths. Clothes whispered to the floor, bodies arching in the firelight's glow. Sarah's mouth trailed fire down Lucy's neck, over collarbones, eliciting gasps that echoed off exposed beams. "Let me take care of you," Sarah breathed against heated skin, fingers delving with deliberate slowness, drawing out moans like threads from a loom. In the haze of release, Lucy clung to her, tears pricking. "How do you know me so well?" Sarah smiled, tracing lazy patterns on her belly. "Because you're my map." That vulnerability sparked a pact, boundaries redrawn, a personal assistant hired to triage the chaos. Sarah stepped up too, co-piloting events, her fresh perspective injecting whimsy into the grind. Surprise flash mobs at store openings, where staff in rainbow aprons handed out love coupons for free alterations. Spring bloomed with bolder strokes. They launched the Threads of Us collection, gowns with hidden pockets for love notes, suits embroidered with subtle pride symbols. The runway show at Milk Studios was electric, models striding to a remix of True Colors, diverse bodies owning the catwalk. Backstage, as zippers flew and makeup artists started, Lucy pulled Sarah into a storage closet, their laughter muffled against urgent mouths. "My muse," Lucy growled, hiking up Sarah's skirt, fingers finding rhythm amid hanging silks. Sarah's nails dug crescents into Lucy's shoulders, climax crashing like waves on unseen shores. Publicly, their relationship flowered too. A Vogue profile dubbed them the power pair redefining retail romance, photos capturing them at a Met Gala afterparty. Lucy in a crimson velvet jumpsuit, Sarah in flowing emerald chiffon, arms linked like vines. Comments sections overflowed. Envy, inspiration, the occasional troll drowned in a sea of hearts. Lucy's family, long distant, reached out tentatively, her mother's email a halting olive branch. "Proud of the woman you've become. Bring her to dinner?" Healing, slow but sweet. Yet, kinks persisted. A rival chain poached a key designer, whispers of sabotage, linking back to Hargrove's bitter network. Board tensions simmered, old guard grumbling about politicizing product. Lucy faced it head-on, convening a retreat in the Hamptons, Trust Falls and Bonfire Confessions, where Sarah facilitated icebreakers with her effortless charm. One night, under star-pricked skies, Lucy confided a buried fear. "What if I'm not enough? For the empire, for you." Sarah's response was a bonfire of its own, pulling Lucy into the dunes, sand cool beneath them, making love with the ocean's roar as chorus. Waves lapped at their toes as Sarah whispered vows against sweat-damp skin. "You're everything, empire or not." Dawn found them entwined, salt-crusted and sated, the horizon a canvas of possibility. By summer, the chain expanded westward, a flagship in San Francisco's Castro district. The opening gala was a triumph, drag queens emceeing, burlesque interludes between toasts. Lucy and Sarah danced under string lights, bodies swaying to pulsing beats, hands roaming possessively. Later, in their suite overlooking the bay, champagne fizzed as they christened the balcony. Sarah bent over the railing, Lucy behind her, thrusts sinking with foghorn calls. "Forever," Lucy panted, sealing the word with a bite to Sarah's shoulder. But autumn winds carried whispers of change. Sarah's 30th loomed, and with it a restlessness, talk of grad school, perhaps an MFA in textile arts. "I love this," she confessed over brunch in a NoHo cafe, avocado toast cooling untouched, "but I want to create, not just curate." Lucy's chest tightened, visions of empty nights flashing. "Then do it. I'll back you all the way." Their compromise emerged over wine-fueled brainstorms, Sarah launching a subline under Elegance Threads, experimental pieces blending her folk art roots with Lucy's sleek aesthetic. The debut at a Brooklyn pop-up was intimate, raw, hand-dyed scarves evoking memories weave, installations of intertwined yarns symbolizing bonds unbroken. Critics raved, buyers clamored. In the glow of success, Lucy proposed, not with rings, but with a custom necklace, 2 silver threads knotted eternally, engraved woven true. Sarah's yes was a sob, a kiss, a tumble into the nearest bed. Their celebrations stretched days, road trip to the Berkshires, hiking trails where they carved initials into birches, nights in creaky inns with creaking springs. Love, once shamed in public glare, now bloomed unchecked, a testament to persistence. As leaves turned, Lucy reflected on the arc, from aisle humiliation to this tapestry of triumph. Hargrove's shadow had faded, his name a footnote in diversity case studies. In Sarah's arms, Lucy found not just romance, but redemption, a reminder that the strongest seams mend the deepest rips. The necklace gleamed against Sarah's collarbone like a captured star, a talisman against the uncertainties of expansion. Elegance Threads West Coast push demanded Lucy's presence in LA for weeks, site visits, vendor meets, the relentless churn of growth. Sarah stayed in New York, immersing in her subline's prototypes, video calls their lifeline. Pixelated faces flushed from wine, whispers turning to moans as hands wandered off-screen. "Miss your touch," Lucy would groan, fingers circling her own heat while Sarah's voice guided like a siren song. Distance sharpened desire, reunions explosive, airport pickups dissolving into backseat frenzies, luggage forgotten in heaps. But cracks spiderwebbed. Sarah's late nights bled into dawns, fabric swatches carpeting the loft like autumn fallout. Lucy returned from a scouting trip to find takeout containers fossilizing on counters, Sarah asleep amid chaos, sketches clutched like lifelines. "You okay?" Lucy asked, brushing auburn strands from her forehead. Sarah stirred, eyes shadowed. "Just overwhelmed. This dream of mine, it's real now. Terrifying." They talked it out over rooftop yoga at dawn, poses flowing into confessions. Sarah admitted imposter syndrome's grip. "I'm the girl from Ohio Bake Sales, not some design doint." Lucy shared her own ghosts, the first investor's rejection, a sneering, "Go back to sewing circles, sweetheart." "We rise together," Lucy vowed, sealing it with a downward dog that devolved into laughter and languid fingers tracing spine to cleft. Public life intensified too. A Netflix docuseries approached, threads of defiance, chronicling their story from shaming to shining. Filming commenced in earnest, cameras capturing boardroom stratagems, Sarah's studio sessions where she dyed yarns in vats of indigo and rose. Intimate moments blurred boundaries, a director coaxing natural chemistry during a staged dinner, Lucy's hand slipping under the tablecloth to tease Sarah's thigh, eliciting a gasp caught on mic cut. The director chuckled, but the spark lingered, post-wrap hookups in the green room fervent, clothes hiked in haste. The series premiered at Tribeca, red carpet ablaze with flashes. Lucy and Sarah arrived entwined, gowns sinking in midnight blue silk, Lucy's sheath-hugging curves, Sarah's A-line flaring like petals. Interviews flowed. "What does love mean in your empire?" a reporter probed. Lucy, arm around Sarah's waist, replied, "It's the warp and weft. Without it, everything unravels." Backstage, adrenaline surged. They claimed a dressing room, mirrors fogging as Sarah dropped to her knees, mouth worshipful, Lucy's hands fisting auburn waves. "My star," Lucy panted, release shuddering through her like seismic aftershocks. Reviews hailed it a queer triumph, streaming numbers soaring. But fame's double edge cut deep. Stalkers emerged, creepy DMs, a man tailing Sarah from a fabric district errand. Lucy beefed up security, but paranoia seeped in, arguments flaring over overprotectiveness. One explosive night, after a fan confrontation at a signing, Sarah snapped, "I can't live in a cage, Lucy. This isn't love, it's lockdown." Words hurled like shrapnel, Lucy accusing recklessness, Sarah decrying control. Doors slammed, silence thicker than fog. Reconciliation came haltingly. Lucy drove to the Hudson at midnight, stones skipping across black water mirroring her turmoil. Sarah found her there, coat pulled tight against chill winds. No words at first, just embrace, tears salting skin. "I'm scared of losing you," Lucy admitted, voice cracking. Sarah cupped her face. "Then hold on differently. Trust, not chains." They made love on a blanket in the car, slow and searching, fingers interlacing, eyes locked, bodies reaffirming vows in rhythmic cadence. Healing manifested in boundaries. Therapy sessions for the pair, unpacking shame's residue, a joint vow to unplug Sundays, phones silenced for forest baths in the Catskills. There, amid pine-scented trails, they renewed, Sarah blindfolding Lucy for a surprise picnic, unveiling a ring, simple gold band etched with intertwined LS. Not proposal, Sarah clarified, slipping it on. Promise. To navigate storms side by side. Fall deepened, leaves carpeting paths like confetti from forgotten parades. The chain hit milestones, 100 store in Chicago, collaborations with trans artisans. But personal horizons beckoned. Sarah's subline evolved into a nonprofit arm. Workshops for queer youth, teaching sewing as empowerment. Lucy funded it lavishly, attending sessions incognito at first, then openly. Watching teens stitch pride flags, their laughter a chorus healing old wounds. Holiday season swirled in with tinsel and tension. Family dynamics resurfaced. Lucy's mother hosting a tentative Thanksgiving, aunts eyeing Sarah with wary curiosity. Tables groaned under turkey and tamales, conversations tiptoeing around edges. When an uncle muttered about lifestyle choices, Sarah's hand under the table steadied Lucy's tremor. Later, washing dishes, Lucy's mom pulled her aside. She makes you glow, Mija. That's family. Tears fell into soapy suds, absolution tasting like gravy. Christmas Eve found them in the loft, trees strung with ornaments from travels, a tiny Golden Gate Bridge, a vial of Berkshire's sand. Gifts unwrapped. Lucy's for Sarah, a custom loom woven from rare fibers. Sarah's a leather-bound journal of their story, pages filling with pressed flowers and ticket stubs. Midnight mass gave way to midnight tryst, carols fading as they knelt before the tree, mouths and hands devout, pleasure building like a crescendo in a silent night. New Year's dawned with resolutions whispered over champagne, more travels, less type A. A trip to Provincetown beckoned, whale watches and dune shacks, where they penned letters to future selves, buried in sand like time capsules. There, under Cape Cod stars, love felt infinite, a horizon without end. Yet, as winter thawed, a whisper of challenge, Sarah's wanderlust stirring, talk of a sabbatical in Paris for inspiration. Lucy's heart clenched, separation again? But growth demanded space. Go, she urged, masking ache with pride. Bring back stories for us to weave. Their goodbye at JFK was a knot of kisses, promises etched in fogged glass. Days stretched, calls crackling across oceans. Lucy threw herself into work, but voids echoed. Sarah's postcards arrived like lifelines, sketches of sane sunsets, notes on bolt fabrics in Montmartre markets. Months later, Sarah returned transformed, portfolio bursting, eyes alight. Airport reunion dissolved barriers, cab ride a blur of tangled limbs, home a frenzy of reclamation. Missed you, Sarah gasped, legs wrapping Lucy's waist, walls greeting their fervor. In afterglow, stories spilled. Ateliers alive with dyers, chance encounters with expats sharing scars. Paris taught me longing, Sarah confessed, but you taught me home. Spring renewal mirrored their own. The chain's annual retreat now a festival of gratitude, staff toasting to threads that bind. Lucy and Sarah keynote together, hands clasped, voices harmonizing on vulnerability's power. Audiences wept, cheered, proof that from public shame could bloom private grace. Summer solstice brought a quiet ceremony, beachside in Fire Island, friends circling a bonfire. No officiant, just vows exchanged over crashing surf, rings exchanged, simple bands now tripled with a third for commitment's triad. Dancers whirled, fiddles keened. Later, in their cottage, love unfurled under gauzy nets, bodies slick with salt and sweat, a symphony of sighs sealing eternity. The rings caught sunlight like captured fireflies, a subtle gleam amid the empire's expansion. Elegance threads now spanned 25 cities, a constellation of boutiques pulsing with purpose. Lucy helmed the helm with seasoned grace, but Sarah's influence infused soul. Pop-up ateliers in underserved neighborhoods, where immigrants learn tailoring alongside storytelling circles. Their partnership, once a spark in scandal, now a beacon, joint interviews in L, where they dissected love's logistics. It's 50% compromise, 50 passion, Sarah quipped, Lucy adding, and 100 forgiveness. Domesticity deepened, joys laced with mundane magic. Mornings brewed with shared espresso, debates over playlist supremacy. Lucy's hip-hop versus Sarah's alt-folk, ending in kitchen counter-conquests, flour-dusted aprons pooling at ankles. Weekends wandered markets, Union Square's stalls yielding heirloom tomatoes for Sarah's experimental salads, Lucy's eye-snagging vintage brooches for design inspo. Their pup, Frida, a wiry terrier mixed with a penchant for sock theft, bounded between, tail a metronome of chaos. Challenges evolved, subtler now. A merger offer from a conglomerate tempted, billions on the table, but strings of diluted vision. Boardrooms crackled with dissent, veterans craving stability, young guns decrying sellout. Lucy paced her office, cityscape sprawling below like a conquered map. Sarah found her there, perching on the desk, legs swinging. "What's the gut say?" she asked, handing over a thermos of chamomile. "Stay true," Lucy admitted, sinking into her lap, head on shoulder. They brainstormed till dusk, whiteboards scrawled with pros cons, ending in a declarative fuck you email, polite rebuff, laced with growth metrics underscoring independence. The board applauded. The suitor slunk away. Victory dinner at their favorite trattoria. Candlelit tiramisu, toasts clinking like chimes. Under the table, Sarah's foot traced Lucy's calf, prelude to a homeward haste. Elevator rides pressing bodies close, keys fumbling as desire overrode dexterity. Fame's underbelly nipped too. A tell-all from a disgruntled ex-employee twisted their origin, painting Lucy as predatory boss, Sarah as opportunistic climb. Blogs buzzed, sponsors wavered. Lucy's phone rang off hook, PR scrambling, lawyers circling. Sarah, ever the anchor, brewed tea and cued their rainy day film. Thelma and Louise, defiance distilled. "Let them talk," she said, pulling Lucy between thighs on the couch. "We know our truth." Lovemaking was reclaiming, fierce, fingers bruising hips, mouths claiming necks and marks of ownership. "Mine," Lucy growled, eliciting Sarah's arching cry, "Release a roar against injustice." Resolution came swift, fact-checks dismantling lies. The book recalled amid lawsuits. But scars itched. Therapy delved deeper, sessions unpacking power imbalances, ensuring their love stayed egalitarian. Sarah initiated equity dates, Lucy cooking Sarah's Ohio recipes, Sarah leading dance classes, where Lucy's two left feet earned giggles. Laughter lubricated growth, turning stumbles into strides. Anniversaries marked milestones. First year post-trial, a vow renewal in the Berkshire's cabin, snow-blanketing pines like ermine. They exchanged letters by firelight, Lucy's penned odes to Sarah's resilience, Sarah's verses likening Lucy to a steadfast oak. Ceremony intimate, friends via Zoom, Frida as ring-bearer in a bow tie. Night fell with ritual, oils warmed, massages evolving to tantric explorations, breaths sinking in prolonged ecstasy, peaks delayed till stars wheeled overhead. Second year brought legacy. The Threads Foundation formalized, grants empowering queer creators worldwide. Their flagship initiative, a fellowship for lesbian designers, Lucy and Sarah mentoring inaugural cohort in Paris, ironic homecoming, sane cruises doubling as masterclasses. Evenings dissolved in Montmartre bistros, wine loosening tongues, hotel suites witnessed fervent reunions, Eiffel Tower twinkling as backdrop to silhouettes entwined on wrought iron balconies. Back stateside, personal horizons widened. Talk of family surfaced, adoption seminars, fertility consults. Kids. Sarah broached over brunch, fork pausing mid-bite. Lucy's heart flipped, visions of tiny hands in hers, bedtime stories laced with tales of two moms. Hell yes, she grinned, sealing with a syrup-smeared kiss. Consults yielded hope. IVF options, surrogacy paths. Emotion swirled, excitement laced with grief for biological paths untrod, but resolve hardened. Our family, Lucy affirmed, built like our love. chosen, fierce. Summer sojourn in Provincetown reignited sparks. Whale watches yielded breaches like metaphors, emerging, unapologetic. Dune shacks hosted hedonistic idols, clambakes fueling midnight romps on scratchy wool, sand abrading skin in delicious friction. One storm-lashed night, thunder rumbling, they chased lightning, Sarah atop, riding waves of pleasure synced to tempests, Lucy's hands guiding hips in primal rhythm. Eternal, Sarah gasped, collapse a tangle of limbs and lightning-scorched air. Autumn harvested abundance, foundation gala raising millions, honorees toasting their trailblazing. Post-event, after-party haze led to a limo detour, driver dismissed, partition up, bodies reclining in leather luxury. Sarah's dress hiked, Lucy's mouth devouring thighs, fingers curling to elicit symphony of moans. Climax crested with the skyline, a glittering witness to unbridled joy. As leaves fell, reflection bloomed. Lucy journaled by the window, Frida curled at feet. From shamed hands to woven rings, life's loom spins miracles. Sarah, sketching nearby, glanced up. Read it aloud? Their evenings thus, voices intertwining stories, fostering intimacy beyond flesh. Winter whispered of new chapters. A positive test, Sarah's via donor, sparked delirium. Ultrasounds like sacred scrolls, nursery planning amid paint swatches and onesies. Cravings hit. Pickles at 3 a.m., Lucy dashing bodegas in pajamas. Maternity deep in desire. Sarah's curves lush, Lucy's worship reverent, bellies brushing in tender tangos. Birth loomed like dawn after longest night. Hospital vigil. Lucy pacing, Sarah breathing through contractions, hands clasped in vice grip. At 4:17 a.m., cries pierced, Alara, tiny and fierce, with Sarah's eyes and Lucy's chin. Holding her, swaddled in threads flannel, Lucy wept, miracle incarnate. Our thread, she whispered, Sarah nodding, exhausted bliss radiating. Parenthood reshaped rhythms, sleepless symphonies, burp cloths as capes. Yet love adapted, naptime quickies in laundry closets, stolen gazes over crib rails. Alara's coos wove new melodies, their family a triad unbreakable. Years folded like accordions. Alara's first steps, toddler wobbles toward outstretched arms. School plays, her as a pint-sized designer. Mama Lucy's empire, echoing proudly. Challenges came, teasing for two-mom home, navigated with storybooks and pride parades. Through it, their bond endured, date nights reclaiming spark, anniversaries rededicating souls. Decades mark, a chain of 50 stores, Foundation Global. Retirement whispers tempted, sailing the Med, vineyard in Tuscany. But legacy called, handing reins to Ments, traveling as ambassadors. In quiet moments, Lucy traced Sarah's laugh lines, silver threading auburn. Best investment, she murmured. Sarah's reply, a kiss, timeless. From aisle's sting to hearth's warmth, their tale affirmed, love, shamed or spotlighted, endures, a chain stronger than any empire, woven in hearts defiant. Alara's laughter echoed through the loft like wind chimes in a gale, a 5-year-old whirlwind scattering blocks and demands for one more story. Lucy scooped her up, twirling till giggles dissolved into hiccups, Sarah capturing the chaos on her phone, eternal archivist of their joy. Mornings now ballet of braids and briefcases. Alara's curls wrestled into puffs, Lucy's tie straightened by tiny fingers, Sarah packing lunches with notes folded like origami secrets. The empire hummed on autopilot, Ments like protégés helming divisions, a non-binary director for urban outposts, a trans VP innovating sustainable weaves. Lucy consulted from the wings, her days freed for foundation fieldwork, trips to rural clinics distributing pride kits, workshops in Bangkok slums teaching embroidery as therapy. Sarah thrived in academia, adjuncting at Parsons, her syllabus a manifesto of queer craft. Evenings converged. Family dinners where Alara quizzed on Mama S's scarves, debates over dessert devolving into tickle wars. Yet evolution tugged. Alara's questions pierced. Why do some kids have one mommy? Bedtime became seminary. Books like And Tango Makes Three read with inflections of history, their shaming anecdotes sanitized to mean words we turned to magic. School conferences unearthed microaggressions, teachers' hesitant pronouns, playground whispers. Lucy advocated fiercely, PDA meetings her new coliseum, Sarah tempering with empathy. Change hearts, not heads. Anniversary 20, a vow labyrinth in the Adirondacks, Alara flower girl in wellies. Paths wound through birches, stations of memories, photos etched on stones. Aisle hands, courtroom triumph, Alara's birth. At center, under canopy of stars, they reaffirmed, rings polished, lips sealing oaths. Frida's successor, Kahlo the rescue mutt, yipped approval. Honeymoon redux, glamping in yurts, days hiking, nights stoking fires literal and figurative, Sarah's mouth tracing constellations on Lucy's freckles, fingers delving to illicit symphonies under canvas skies. Midlife musing surfaced. Lucy's mirror reflected silver at temples, laugh lines mapping joys. A health scare, routine mammogram flagging shadows, froze time. Biopsies, vigils in sterile halls. Sarah's hand never left hers, Alara's drawings papering waiting rooms, stick figure families with superhero capes. Benign verdict unleashed catharsis, hospital gown discarded, bodies colliding in homecoming fervor, tears mingling with moans, reaffirming vitality. Philanthropy peaked, a Threads Academy in Harlem, tuition-free for marginalized talents. Inaugural class, Alara's future peers, scissors snipping doubts. Lucy keynote, voice thick. I was shamed for holding hands. Today, hold yours high. Create without apology. Applause swelled. Backstage, Sarah's embrace grounded. Proud doesn't cover it. Travel beckoned bolder. Sabbatical in New Zealand, fjords mirroring inner expanses. Alara homeschooled via tutors, adventures her curriculum, Kiwi hunts, Maori weaves inspiring Sarah's next collection. Evenings by campfires, stories spun. Lucy's empire origin, Sarah's Ohio exodus, Alara's dreams of building castles from cloth. Bonds tightened, distances dissolved in shared horizons. Challenges morphed, Alara's tween tempests, crushes confessed in diary raids. Is it okay to like girls like you too? She asked, cheeks flaming. Lucy and Sarah tag-teamed, tales of first flutters, consent's compass. Heartbreak followed, a playground rejection, met with ice cream vigils, lessons in resilience's weave. Empire transitions loomed, CEO handover to a prodigy mentee, Lucy shifting to chair emerita. Board farewells bittersweet, speeches lauding her vision, toasts to the lesbian legacy. Retirement's eve, a surprise roast, Sarah emceeing with slides of candids, aisle shock, birth tears, Alara's graduation, projected toddler style. Laughter cathartic, after-party intimate, loft reclaimed for slow dances, Alara asleep upstairs. Golden years unfurled gently. Vineyard purchase in Sonoma, rows of Cabernet mirroring life's vintages. Mornings misted with pruning, afternoons napping in hammocks, Alara visiting with her cohort, college now, majoring in sustainable design. Grandkids whispered on winds, Alara's partner, a poet with ink-stained fingers, expecting. Nursery rhymes evolved to lullabies for newborns, Lucy and Sarah doting aunts, weaving blankets threaded with history. Reflections crystallized in journals, shame's sting birthed this symphony, love's orchestra, conducted in defiance. Sarah's addendum, and every note, harmonized in you. Travel slowed to savor. Amalfi Cliffs for anniversaries, where limoncello loosened limbs in villa pools, bodies buoyant in azure embrace. Legacy cemented, biographies penned, foundations enduring. A biopic greenlit, Them consultants, laughing over script sanitizing spice. More heat, Sarah insisted, winking. Their input, authentic arcs, from public wound to private wholeness. Twilight found them on Sonoma porches, sunsets, painting skies in fire. Hands clasped, rings worn thin as whispers they recounted. Remember the manager's face? Laughter bubbled. Best plot twist. Kahlo's pup descendant snoozed at feet, Alara's calls lighting phones with updates. As stars pricked velvet, Lucy turned to Sarah. Worth every seam. Sarah's reply, a kiss, enduring as dawn. Their story, once Isle's echo, now cosmos, threads of two women, shamed yet soaring, weaving eternity in love's unyielding loom. Sunsets in Sonoma stretched like taffy, golds and crimsons bleeding into the vine-laced hills, a canvas painted for their twilight vigil. Lucy and Sarah's chairs creaked in sync on the wraparound porch, glasses of their Cabernet, notes of black cherry and earth, clinking softly against the hush. Alara's visits punctuated the rhythm now, her partner Mia heavy with their second, belly a drum of impending life. Grandma's, Alara teased, rubbing the swell. You two set the bar impossibly high. Lucy winked, passing heirloom quilts stitched with pride motifs. Just follow the pattern, kiddo. The vineyard thrived, a boutique operation bottling their blended lives. Labels etched with intertwined vines, taglines whispering woven roots. Tastings drew pilgrims, queer couples toasting origins, families scripting their own defiance. Sarah led tours, her voice as storyteller's lilt recounting the chain's genesis, Lucy chiming in with asides. And that's when I knew she was trouble, the good kind. Laughter rippled through arbors, grapes heavy as memories. Health's frailties nipped gently now, Lucy's arthritic fingers slowing sketches, Sarah's knees protesting hikes. Adaptations wove in, adaptive looms for Sarah's whims, voice-to-text for Lucy's memos. Intimacy evolved too, less acrobatic, more attuned. Mornings with mutual massages blooming into languid caresses, afternoons napping entwined, skins map familiar as braille. Still sets me aflame, Lucy murmured once, fingers circling Sarah's hip scar from a long-ago appendectomy, eliciting a shiver and sigh. Alara's brood arrived in waves. First, Theo, tousled curls and insatiable curiosity clambering onto laps for Grammy stories. Then Lila, Theo's sister, with Sarah's storm blue eyes and a penchant for mud pies. Holidays hoedowns, Thanksgiving tables groaning under fusion feasts, tamales alongside apple pie, toasts weaving lineages. Alara's tales of corporate climes echoed Lucy's, thread scion now, innovating eco-fabrics. You paved this, she credited, hugging fierce. Foundation's reach spanned continents, academies in Nairobi, grants in Sydney. Virtual galas linked them, Lucy's fireside chats inspiring from screens, Sarah demoing weaves via Zoom. A knighthood equivalent came, humanitarian awards, podiums where they shared stages, hands linked. From shamed customer to this, Lucy quipped in acceptance, proof love's the ultimate disruptor. Personal pilgrimages dotted calendars, return to Fifth Avenue flagship, now a pride beacon with murals of hands held high. They wandered aisles, ghosts banished, Sarah fingering silks, Lucy reminiscing designs. A young couple, hands entwined, sparked smiles, their nod a baton passed. Back home, nostalgia-fueled nights, recreating first kiss in rain-simulated showers, bodies slick, rediscovering peaks in patient rhythms. Alara's wedding crested summers, vineyard altar, Theo ring-bearer in tiny tucks, Lila flower girls scattering petals with glee. Vows echoed theirs, defiance and devotion. Reception swirled, barn dances, Mia's poetry readings, Sarah's surprise quartet playing their song. Lucy and Sarah stole moments on hillsides, watching fireflies wink. Our echo, Sarah whispered, hand on Lucy's heart. Lovemaking later in the master suite, candlelit, reverent, tongues tracing silvered skin, climaxes soft as sighs, unity profound. Grandkids' milestones marked time. Theo's first queer crush navigated with care, Lila's school play, as a designer diva earning ovations. Holidays evolved. Hanukkah candles for Mia's heritage, Diwali lamps from travels, a mosaic faith. Stories circled fires, the shaming sanitized saga, now fable of fortitude. As octogenarian edges sharpened, reflections deepened. Lucy's memoir, Seams of Strength, ghosted by Alara, flew off shelves, forward by Sarah. She wove my world. Book tours light, cozy readings in local libraries, Q&As laced with humor. Best revenge? A fan asked. This life, Lucy replied, gesturing to Sarah beside her. Winters warmed with visitors. Old flames turned friends, Ment's now moguls. A health dip, Sarah's pneumonia, rallied kin, Alara flying in, grandkids' bedside with drawings. Recovery slow, but Sarah's spirit unbowed. Even fevers can't dim us. Lucy's vigil, broths spooned, stories spun till sleep claimed. Spring's return heralded clarity. Porch sunsets grew poignant, conversations circling legacies. What now? Sarah pondered, head on Lucy's lap. Keep loving, Lucy answered, fingers carding gray waves. Their bond, tempered by decades, remained electric, spontaneous park benches yielding to hidden groves, hands wandering under skirts, youth recaptured in gasps. Alara's brood swelled, great-grand Theo's babble, Lila's teen poetry slams. Family reunions sprawled vineyards, generational yarns, recipes passed like batons. Lucy and Sarah, matriarchs, presided with quiet command, eyes meeting across tables, a lifetime's code. Final chapters whispered. End-of-life packs, hospice plans woven with whimsy, playlist of first dance tunes, bedside looms for last weaves. But vigor persisted. A cruise to Alaska, glaciers calving as metaphors for release. Cabin nights, porthole-framed auroras witnessing tender trysts, bodies aligned in ageless hunger. One equinox eve, under harvest moon, they danced barefoot in the grass, creaky steps to phantom fiddles, laughter trilling. Collapse to picnic blanket, kisses deepening, hands familiar paths, pleasure a gentle tide. Always, they chorused, stars approving. Dawn's light found them dozing, entwined. Lucy stirred first, tracing Sarah's profile. Eternal beauty. My thread, she breathed. Sarah's eyes fluttered. Our tapestry. No goodbyes loomed. Only continuation. Years later, graveside oaks shade dual markers. Lucy and Sarah Morales Ellis, woven eternal. Alara's eulogy. They taught us shame bends, but love endures. Vineyard vines climb headstones, grapes ripening in tribute. Their story, from public sting to private symphony, endures and whispers, a chain owned not by one, but by hearts defiant. In every boutique's embrace, every designer's dream, their legacy threads, reminding that true power lies not in empires, but in hands held, unashamed.